out by Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, great to see you. I start with you. Are the Lakers better or worse than they were last season?
They're better. And I know the three of us, I believe, Shannon and Skip and myself, when we first heard about them adding Russell Westbrook, all of us were skeptical and didn't really like it. And I remember I said when Brooklyn came together, that was the greatest chemistry experiment I've seen in the NBA in decades. Well, this group, Russell and LeBron, they make Brooklyn look like a match made in heaven. All right? That said, the talent is it's just incredible. All right, the talent at the top of the roster, LeBron, AD, and Russell, is incredible. Then I think they did a good job, especially considering what they had to work with financially. They did a good job of adding around them. And I'm going to give LeBron the credit or benefit of the doubt of because he's one of the smartest players we've ever seen, that he might be able to make this work chemistry-wise. All right, as far as him and Russ. But let me get to this first. Around them, Jen mentioned a lot of the shooters. I don't think any of them are Kyle Korver. None of them are awesome shooters, but they're solid. Malik Monk, Kent Bazemore, I like as a 3-and-D guy. Wayne Ellington, Trevor Ariza. Carmelo even has become a much better three-point shooter. Dwight Howard gives them size that Skip, I think you said this earlier or, last year. They missed him last year. And I know they brought on Andre Drummond, who's bigger than Dwight, but Dwight is more athletic than Drummond. I think he was just a better fit. So he'll help when they want to go really big. And they still got Marc Gasol, who can spread the floor, which is going to be critical for them. They'll probably start Gasol, is my guess, because having floor spacing is going to be huge. Now, the key is still, I'll get to Russ and LeBron. The key is Anthony Davis still. All right, Anthony Davis has got to stay healthy, number one, and get back to being one of the best bigs in the league like he was 2 years ago. If he doesn't do that, they likely won't win the West, let alone a championship. AD has got to be AD of 2 years ago. All right, now for LeBron and Russ, I know when they talked a few weeks ago before the trade was made, LeBron talked about playing power forward, AD at the 5. I like AD at the 5. But LeBron, in my view, needs to be the point guard. I think LeBron needs to take on the mindset of Magic Johnson to make this work. And I think he should view himself as the third scoring option. And he should make sure Anthony Davis gets his, Westbrook gets his, and all the surrounding pieces. LeBron's going to score 20-plus points just by being on the floor for 30 minutes. We know he can get his, but make sure those other guys eat. I think that's critical. I think Westbrook moving off the ball, cutting to the basket, backdoor cuts, I think he could be great in that regard because LeBron will draw double teams and find him. And so I think that would work. And then Westbrook can handle the ball in transition and with that second unit when LeBron's on the bench. But I think, look, it's going to be an interesting fit. It is a chemistry experiment, but the talent is so great that it's hard to deny that I think they got to be the favorites in the West.
I agree with you. I think they're definitely better offensively. Now, I don't know how much better they are defensively. They probably got a little worse defensively because KCP and Caruso, all those guys could guard the perimeter, and most of these guys are shooters instead of defenders. But for me, and you alluded to it, Chris, this is why I believe that it will work, because you're absolutely right. When they told me that the Brooklyn Nets was going to get James Harden, I said, do what with him? Because you got Kyrie and James Harden. I took Kevin Durant out of the equation because Kevin Durant can play at anybody, anywhere, anytime, any era. Kevin Durant doesn't need to be the ball. The other two guys are very ball dominant. So I'm like, okay, who's going to be what? Who's going to be this? And this is what gives me hope that they can play together, the Lakers, with Russ, AD, and LeBron, because I saw what happened in Brooklyn because guys were willing to sacrifice. James Harden won an MVP. Kevin Durant was already Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant wants to win a title outside of Golden State to solidify. I believe one championship in Brooklyn solidifies Kevin Durant more so than the two that he got in Golden State. Kyrie hit the shot. But these guys, but he had caught a lot of flack because for whatever reason, it didn't work. It was a failure by everybody's estimation. What transpired with Kyrie in Boston, that was a failure. You got Jason Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown, you got Marcus Smart, and you can't get past the first round? Nah, second round? Nah, that's not good. And they got to the NBA Finals. NBA. They got Eastern Conference Finals without you. Kyrie got hurt. Right. So this is what gives me hope that the big three and the Lakers can play together because I saw how it came together for Brooklyn. So for me, Skip, I guess it's gonna be another year for your Clippers not making the NBA Finals again.
You hope.
Ain't no hope. I know.
You should thank Joe Ingles
there you go.
for saving the day for you last year.
See? You see what he's doing?
Is it my turn, finally? Now for some truth. Now for some objectivity about what just happened. Even the great LeBron James, the man I still call the best passer in basketball, will not be able to overcome Russell Westbrook. Now, this was a very interesting twist because my man Shannon Sharpe has been advocating that Russ will be the point guard so that LeBron can finally move off ball a little bit more and concentrate on scoring and chasing down Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
You say that like that's a bad thing.
Well, he's the all-time greatest scorer in the history. Is that all you got? Is that what you want now? Do you want a fifth championship or do you want Kareem?
Both.
Oh, well, you're not going to get both. Not with Russell Westbrook. So to Chris's point, Chris is saying that Russ would play off-ball more as the, two guard, I guess? You will have the worst Westbrooking two guard in the history of pro basketball, if that's what you ask him to do. And right now you have one of the worst shooting backcourts, if I call LeBron the point guard and Russ the two guard, because you do have Westbrook and LeBrick from three, because Russ was horrendous from three last year, just as he was horrendous from the free throw line. And LeBron is now, a 34.5% three-point career shooter. So you're going to have two brickers from three, and that is not what you want. So here's my point. I give LeBron credit because I do believe he's the de facto GM of this team. I believe he either suggested or at least co-signed all those sweet little moves that both you guys talked about, and I liked every one of them. I love bringing back Dwight because I said they would miss Dwight last year, and they did. I like all the moves, all the way down to re-signing THT on TNT.
Right.
Like it. He's going to rise and shine and flourish and come of age next year, probably as a starter for this team. I like all of the above, except what is at the very top of the above. You cannot overcome Russell Westbrook. Again, all those moves have been undercut, disqualified, canceled by the fact that LeBron signed off on Russell Westbrook as his, I think, primary decision maker as his point guard. And again, I love to watch Russ operate. He's averaged triple-doubles 4 of the last 5 years, which is off the charts all-time great. He is a no-doubt first-ballot Hall of Famer. He is must-see. But in the end, I would not want him on my team. And that is why he is on his 4th team in 4 years, because Kevin Durant finally decided after 8 long years in Oklahoma City, I cannot win with him as our primary decision maker. And then James Harden, after 1 year, said, no, I just can't do it with him. I need out of here. And Russ obviously wanted away from James also.
You do realize, though, Skip, you say that Kevin Durant scored the most points he ever scored in the season with Russell, 32.8. Bradley Beal scored the most points he'd ever scored in the season with Russell Westbrook. Paul George had his highest scoring average he'd ever had with Russell Westbrook. And he can't be all bad, can he, Chris?
And what happened when Paul George was given his escape hatch by Kawhi Leonard? He said, thank you.
He went
I'm out. I'm out.
He should have, Russ said, well, you should have went home before we played Utah. That way you wouldn't have put that 5-piece on me.
As ESPN reported, what did Kawhi do when Russell Westbrook was knocking down his door, take me with you to the Clippers? What did he do? He said, I don't want you, but I want your teammate. I want Paul George.
Very snakish, Chris. Okay. That was very snakish behavior.
Okay, but that's what he chose.
That was cold-blooded.
It was cold-blooded. He chose Paul George over Russell Westbrook. So all these great players have all said no to Russell Westbrook except for LeBron, and he's trying to say, hey, Watch me. I can do it. I think I can do it. I'm not sure. I'll delete my tweet about it because I'm not sure I can back this up. But I told you that it could go down as the all-time shrewdest move by LeBron, because if he can win with Russell Westbrook, then he can say, look, I did something KD couldn't do, Harden couldn't do, Kawhi didn't want to even try to do, Paul George couldn't do. But if he loses because of Russell Westbrook, which I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be a disaster, then LeBron can step back and he can have the ultimate scapegoat in Russell Westbrook, because you guys don't love him. You guys are primed. You're ready. You're poised to leap on him because the GOAT, quote unquote, needs a scapegoat. And this will be the ultimate scapegoat for LeBron James. Am I right about that?
No.
And what have I told you about stats? Look at what Russ has done. Last year, he led the league in turnovers. He's led the league in turnovers 3 times. He's been second 4 times. He's led the league in usage rate 4 times, and he's been second 4 more times. He needs the ball, and he's going to turn over the ball, and he's going to miss a lot of threes. Do you love that? Is that your formula for winning?
Watch. The same thing you said about
disaster.
For what you just said, Skip, that's why, to me, LeBron has to be the point guard. You cannot have Russ, as much as we love Russ, and as you said, first ballot Hall of Famer, icon, all that. His weakness has been, in addition to shooting, he doesn't make good decisions.
He does not.
All right? And that's why LeBron has got to be the ball handler. And Russ in Houston. When Russ was in Houston, he took off over the second half of the season because he stopped shooting threes. So when he got the ball on the wing, he drove. And that's what the Lakers have to tell him to do. When you get it, don't settle for that three.